Before we jump into all of the little Easter eggs that Green left in his supporting document, let me just clear up this little confusion for those who weren't sure. The grey key software mentioned throughout these documents is used to take a snapshot of the phone, but the phone has to be unlocked first. The police will generally ask you straight up for your passcode. Once it's unlocked, then Grey Key can access all of the files on that device. However, you can choose not to give the police your password. In that case, they have a variety of tools and methods where they can brute force unlock your phone or device. Either way, the device needs to be unlocked so that Grey Key can read all of the files and create the image. When Grey Key is finished, it will produce a couple of files, including the image file, a plist file, and a file containing the hash algorithm, which is then used to import into other softwares to analyze the image data. The Grey Key app itself does not brute force unlock the device, although the same company, Magnet, does provide other tools to brute force unlock devices. So I hope that cleared up some of the confusion involved with unlocking the device and then imaging the device. They're two separate things. And then of course there's analyzing the image from the device, which is a third separate thing entirely, and for chain of custody purposes relies on those three files I just mentioned: the image file, the plist file, and the hash algorithm. Without importing all three of those into the analyzing software, the analyst has no idea if the data they are looking at actually matches the data originally extracted in the image. That includes Trooper Guarino, Ian Whiffen, Jessica Hyde, and Mr. Green. Anyway, let's get into reading the document because there is more uncovered in Green's report. Initial data production. His company was initially provided with a Celebrite UFED report produced by version 7.53, prepared by Trooper Nicholas Guarino with the Massachusetts State Police, which was labelled as a full file system extraction of an iPhone 11 with serial number blah, belonging to Jennifer McCabe. In the initial report prepared by Trooper Guarino, the 2:27 a.m. search for Husk Long to die in cold did not appear, and that by itself is one point. He tried to leave it out of his initial report. Recognizing that this report was not the best evidence, I personally requested the image file for the phone in question, which I had reason to believe was produced using the Grey Key product based on the naming convention contained within the Celebrite report. So in the next paragraph, he tells us that he never actually got anything to verify the data, that he was essentially just looking at a PDF. I subsequently received a USB drive containing a forensic image of the phone, now described as J. McCabe, belonging to Jennifer McCabe, which was forensically imaged by the Mass State Police using a tool known as Grey Key. The USB drive containing the forensic image was sent to us by Assistant District Attorney Ada Lally with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office by way of Trooper Guarino with the Mass State Police. Upon receipt, the USB containing the image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone was assigned an internal evidence number. Notably, the USB drive containing the forensic image failed to include the associated documentation containing the hash value. I've been screaming about this from day dot. Without the hash value, nobody can verify if the data that they're looking at actually did come from that phone or if it was introduced afterwards, which is a well-known mechanism used to validate the data and ensure there has not it has not changed or otherwise been manipulated. After personally insisting that the Mass State Police provide the hash value associated with this data, USF was eventually provided with a PDF containing the purported hash value, and the value listed within that PDF matched the grey key file image of the cell phone in question. That's not verification. Grey key has inside the software, grey key imports the hash file that was mentioned here that they wouldn't send him. It imports that hash file, and then it will verify by that import whether or not that image has not been tampered with or manipulated. So, nice try, Trooper Guarino, but no, a PDF doesn't cut it. After obtaining the full file system extraction of the data, whoops, I did it again, sorry, contained on Jen McCabe's phone, the data images were processed and reviewed with Celebrite Physical Analyzer and Axiom Forensics. Still not verified data, but he's got what he's got. He hasn't really got any choice. So you'll know that I had a meltdown about this already, that nobody was using verified data. Everyone was making assumptions on data that we couldn't be sure was the original data from the phone. So, and you know why they're not giving it to him? Because it's going to show that it's not legitimate data, obviously. So, opinion number 1. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the user of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone searched House Long to die in the cold at or before 2:27 a.m. In my professional experience, analysis of a device's internet search history often gives valuable clues as to the user's intent or knowledge surrounding an incident. There is your first Easter egg. It is to do with intent and knowledge around the incident. I conducted a review of the search history information obtained from Jennifer McCabe's iPhone 11 and observed the following significant artifact from the morning in question as reported by Celebrite Physical Analyzer version 7.61 and Axiom Forensics version 6.11, which were the most recent versions of the respective tools at the time I conducted my initial analysis. The search, House Long to Die in Cold, last viewed date time was that morning at 2:27. There's the search link through to Google. Source, Safari suspended state tab. Deleted type wall. Right ahead log. Celebrite processing. In Celebrite Physical Analyzer 7.61, the 2:27 a.m. search not only showed up in the web history, but Celebrite further refined the result and included it in the search items artifact section. It was marked as a deleted record with an adjusted last view stamp of January 29, 2:27 a.m. UTC -5. So that's converted to local time. Noting the inconsistencies in Celebrite's reporting between the UFED report generated by version 7.53 and Celebrite's Physical Analyzer 7.61, I contacted Celebrite's technical support to inquire if they could provide additional information about this artifact. Celebrite's technical support staff indicated they believed the artifact was reliable and that no issues had been brought to their attention. On April 22nd, the Commonwealth's expert Ian Whiffen emailed me. Wait, what? What is a witness for the Commonwealth doing directly contacting a witness for the defence without going through the lawyers. The lawyers are supposed to be doing these transactions, not the witnesses. The last visited time shown in PA will be getting removed from the artifact of physical analyzer. Will be getting removed from the artifact in the next available version of physical analyzer, 7.69. After the start of trial in this case in late May of 2024, Celebrite released Insight's Physical Analyzer version 10.2, which removed the 227 timestamp from its processing of the artifact. It hasn't removed it, as Whiffen says, hasn't removed it from the data, it's just not showing it to you on the screen anymore. Shortly after trial, on July 22nd, Celebrite released its Celebrite Physical Analyzer Standard 7.69, which also removed the 2:27 a.m. timestamp from its processing of the artifact. Notably, Celebrite is a company that markets itself as providing digital intelligence solutions for law enforcement and is used by over 6,900 public safety agencies in over 100 countries worldwide, including Australia. Although I am aware that Celebrite recently changed its analyzer programs so that it no longer reports on the timestamp of this particular artifact, I have not misinterpreted the data. And this is how you can prove it, because you check it with other forensic software. Axiom processing. Axiom is an application product offered by Magnet Forensics, which is a competitor of Celebrite. Best practices in digital forensics require forensic examiners to first check the hash value, to view data and artifacts with more than one tool. Therefore, I also processed the image of Jennifer McCabe's iPhone using Axiom 6.11. Axiom 6.11 reports the 2:27 a.m. search artifact for House Long to Die in the Cold, with a last view time of 2:27:40 a.m. in the Safari Suspended State tabs section. Shortly thereafter, I contacted Magnet Forensics technical support to see if additional information could be provided regarding this artifact. I was advised by technical support that the 2:27 a.m. timestamp indicates that the search would have occurred sometime at or before 2:27 a.m. time indicated. Since my initial analysis, USF has upgraded to the more advanced Axiom Cyber Physical Analyzer 8.8, which was released on the 17th of December 2024. This version of Axiom continues to report the above artifact with an even more precise last view date in the Safari Suspended State tab, marked as deleted. Moreover, Axiom's user manual describes this artifact as follows: Safari Suspended State tabs, last interaction date. There's another column in the table, last interaction date. So not only do you have a last viewed time and date, but now you've got another column called the last interaction time and date. And I showed you all these columns in one of the last live streams that I did. So the only way that those things can get confused with what's going in them is if the code itself that writes the data to those things, if the code itself gets changed. That's the only way it can happen. As the date, last interaction, as the date and time of the current tab state when it was last interacted with on the local device. This date and time will reflect when the user has last interacted with this tab in Safari, or if the tab auto refreshed, which is kind of what Ian Whiffen was trying to suggest, on the local device only. In order to validate this timestamp, I looked at numerous examples of web sessions on Jennifer McCabe's device, including URLs containing Raining Men, CantonMA.org, Hockomock Sports, and Eastern Bank. In all of these instances, the browser state DB entry appears at the end of the session. This is consistent with how Magnet describes this artifact. The code is written to the database at the end of the session. In order to confirm the accuracy of this search event, as reported in Celebrite Physical Analyzer 7.61, and consistently throughout multiple versions of Axiom, I then independently performed a low-level analysis of the artifact, which was located in the browser state DB write ahead file. Write ahead files are temporary in nature and show the location where the data is written before commits to the database are made. The particulars of this artifact are as follows. It was found in this database. It has a record ID, I've been talking about that a lot as well, of 4028. Raw time data, time converted to UTC. So that time there is UTC without the -5 hours for the local area. So when you adjust it to local time for that area, it becomes 227.40 point whatever milliseconds. I would also note that Trooper Nicholas Guarino's report labeled blah blah PDF specifically mentions that he also used the Axiom product to process the forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's iPhone. I personally tested the earlier version of Axiom, which would have been used in February, and determined that the 2:27 a.m. version of the search was reported by Axiom as having a last viewed time of 2:27:40. Axiom has a similar feature to Celebrite with their creation of a portable case. This exculpatory information has never been turned over to the defense. That, my dear friends, is a freaking Brady violation. If ever I heard one. I used 3 additional forensic tools to conduct a low-level analysis of the artifact in question, including Belkasoft, Sanderson Forensic Browser, and Artex2, a research-based program created by the Commonwealth's expert Ian Whiffen, which only has approximately 600 users worldwide. Incidentally, in our last stream on this particular topic, we discovered that it was actually getting flagged by the Windows platform as malware or something. Apparently had to release 6.2 to fix that issue. And it was after we did our stream, so who knows where he picked that up from. What did I read up to? 600 users worldwide. Ha ha ha. Throw some shade on that dude. All 3 of these programs show data consistent with the search for how long to die in the cold with a last viewed time. A last viewed time column or field of 2:27:40 being found on record 4028. All times listed have been converted to Canton MA local time, which is UTC -5 hours, unless otherwise noted. Thus, I was able to independently verify, using additional forensic tools, that the last viewed time and date and fact of the search was accurate. Artifact, I think that was meant to be, of the search is accurate. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the user of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone searched how long to die in cold at or before 2:27 a.m. I have also consistently reported the existence of 2 additional search artifacts, found on the forensic image of Jennifer McCabe's iPhone, which suggests that the user of Jennifer McCabe's iPhone made 2 additional similar searches later that morning, one at 6:23 and one at 6:24. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the 2:27 a.m. search artifact was deleted by either deliberate user interaction or manual post-imaging manipulation of the data by some unknown individual, not mentioning any names, Trooper Guarino. There's so much shade, so much shade. It is uncontested that the 2:27 a.m. search artifact found in record 4028 is in a deleted state. Databases contain tables with numerous fields, and in some cases there is a programmed field entry to indicate whether a record is live or deleted. Programmed as in the code is written into the code. And unless the code changes, it can't be a mistake. With regard to the browser state DB, which is the database at issue here, there is no such field to indicate whether a particular record is live or deleted. Well, that's because it's reflected in the files, the session files that I've discussed already. However, based on the characteristics of the data contained within the associated write-ahead log, the forensic tools indicate that 2:27 a.m. search found in record 4028 is in a deleted state. There are several reasons why data may appear to be in a deleted state, which include a deliberate user interaction, which Ian Whiffen did agree with when he testified, an automated function of the operating system, i.e. written into the code, a system application or a operating system update, again, code, the actual code that writes this to the databases, a malfunction of the operating system or hardware, or manual post-imaging manipulation of the data itself. I address each of these potential scenarios in turn. Let's go straight to Trooper Guarino first. Manual post-imaging manipulation of the data. So what he's saying here is that Trooper Guarino has the image of Jen's cell phone. He sees this exculpatory information, and he deletes it from the image. So therefore, Jen McCabe doesn't know anything about it. Nobody else knows anything about it. Only Trooper Guarino does. So that's what he's suggesting here. Post-imaging, after the image was taken off the phone. Typically, data collections have an associated hash value, which is unique to that set of data. The hash value is created using an algorithm and is a well-known mechanism used to validate the data and ensure that it has not changed or otherwise been manipulated. In this case, USF was originally supplied with a forensic image of Jen's cell phone, which was created with a tool known as Grey Key from ADA Lally by way of Trooper Guarino. However, and remarkably, the associated documentation containing the hash value needed to validate the image was not provided with the initial USB drive containing the forensic image. This was incredibly unusual. In all my years working as a forensic examiner, this is the first time I have ever received a forensic image of a phone without the corresponding hash files. And it would have been for Ian Whiffen too. Don't raise an eyebrow, Ian Whiffen. Just tell them what you paid to tell them. After personally insisting that the Mass State Police provide the hash value associated with this data, USF was eventually provided with a PDF, not the actual files that Grey Key uses. However, as Mr. Whiffen acknowledges in his report, the Celebrite program cannot validate the data because the value is unsigned. In other words, the Grey Key image of Jen's cell phone could have been manipulated and then rehashed after the manipulation, and still show the same resulting hash value included in the PDF file. Typically, forensic examiners are provided with the raw image file and the associated hash value documentation together. After validating the hash value, I would accept that the data has not been manipulated. Here, however, the hash documentation was not provided with the raw image of the cell phone. Instead, it was withheld from the defense. As a forensic examiner, having received hundreds of image phones over the course of my decades-long career, this was unprecedented. In addition to law enforcement's failure to initially provide the hash documentation associated with the raw image of Jennifer McCabe's cell phone, there were additional anomalies within the processed data that are suggestive of manipulation, as reported by tools such as Axiom and Celebrite. It's like a cheesy TV ad, right? But wait, there's more. These anomalies are discussed in further detail below, along with other anomalies in this case, including law enforcement's failure to properly document the chain of custody of items of evidence, inconsistencies in official reports and testimony regarding the collection of evidence, law enforcement's failure to properly photograph and document the evidence, and the destruction of other crucial electronic data are all suggestive of post-imaging manipulation. Malfunction of the operating system or hardware. In my experience, iPhone hardware and the iOS operating system are very reliable. In this case, there is no data or evidence to suggest that a malfunction of the operating system or hardware caused the deleted record. But the way you test that is you try to reproduce the error. So often when you say, you might report to Apple, I got X problem with my phone, they'll ask you to screen record, recreate that problem, and that way it's proving that it's actually the software, the code that's causing the problem. System application or operating system update, same thing again. It's attempts to reproduce the error, basically. Upon analyzing Jen's phone, I was able to determine that iOS on this device was updated to version 15.2 on January 24th, 2022. This update occurred before the record in question was generated and would not have been a cause of the deletion because the update happened first, obviously. Weeks before, not even like the update happened and it might have been updating which caused the error. So weeks before. Automated function of the operating system, i.e. written into the code. The artifact in question is found in a write-ahead log. The data is written to a temporary WAR file in order to aid in speed and ensure data integrity. You can think of this as the database being a series of Excel spreadsheets where the data is structured into fields, rows, and columns, and the WAR file as a notepad text document where you are quickly adding data that you intend to eventually write into the Excel spreadsheets. The mechanism for writing the data from a temporary WAR file to the associated database is called a checkpoint. So this is the automated function, is a checkpoint. Here, with regard to the 22740 House Long to Die in the Cold War file issue, the data establishes that the last checkpoint occurred on the 28th of the 1st at 7:39 a.m. This is the day before. Therefore, the deleted state of the 4028 record is not a function of the WAR file being written to the database because the last checkpoint, the automated part of this process, occurred the day before. I am unaware of any internal mechanism for spontaneous record deletion. Whiffen similarly concedes in his report that he is unaware of any internal mechanism for spontaneous record deletion. Deliberate user interaction. As stated above, there is no internal field within the browser state DB database to indicate whether the artifact in question was user deleted, i.e. a column labeled deleted with a corresponding entry of yes or no. No such field exists in the browser state DB database. So the structure of the database never had a column for this information. However, as explained in further detail below, additional anomalies found on the phone strongly suggest that this data was either the result of deliberate user interaction or post-imaging manipulation. Correct. We always knew that, didn't we? It has to be one of the other. So he's narrowing down by going through things like methodically here. He's narrowed it down to it has to be this or it has to be this. My forensic analysis of the cell phone uncovered numerous anomalies or unusual deviation from what is standard, normal, or expected in a typical case. The following anomalies further support that the artifact in question was deleted either through user interaction or through post-imaging manipulation. It's got to be one or the other. Anomaly 1. The most up-to-date version of Cellbrite Physical Analyzer, called Insights 10.4, reports 4,560 searches with only one search being marked as deleted. Dun dun dun! Only one. Only one out of all of the searches she's done, only that incriminating one. The only search marked as deleted in the most up-to-date version is the incriminating search, record 40228. This strongly suggests that this search was targeted for deletion. The user targeted or the cops targeted? There's only two options here. The tab ID for record 4028 is bleh. I already told you about the ID. Gets put into all of the databases so that everything connects back up again to that tab by its ID number. Also, this number is used in the session files, which is where other information about that search is also stored. This number is unique to the tab in question and would have been used for all URL history in that specific tab within this particular database. The Commonwealth has claimed that the actual website being visited during this period was Hockey Mock Sports. However, the tab ID, dun dun dun, recorded at 227 associated with Hockey Mock Sports is this number. So when we're saying tab, we're saying that tab that was opened is being given this ID number. So any record in any database, be it browser state DB or any other WAR file, whatever, it's going to have this number associated with it for that tab, for record 4028. He's saying that another tab was created for the search that Whippen is claiming is that tab. Thus, the records in question clearly establish that the Hockey Mock Sports activity was conducted in a completely different tab than the search for House Long to Die in Cold, which also showed activity at 2:27 a.m. just seconds later. Someone's trying to cover their tracks. Not smart enough, Jenny, Jen. Anomaly 3. The Commonwealth's expert, Miss Hyde and Mr. Whiffen, opined that the 4028 record with the 227 timestamp initially would have been associated with the House Long to Die in Cold search. They both claimed that. I have examined the multiple writes of the 4028 record contained within the browser state DB WAR file, and in all instances, the URL containing the House Long to Die in Cold was present. I see no evidence of the 4028 record containing a different or blank for that field. Dun dun dun! It was deleted, making it blank. Anomaly 4. The search artifacts associated with it associated with how long to die in cold and how long to die in kicked and how long to die in cold later on are all missing information that would be expected in the history of DB file. Mr. Whiffen opines that the load was likely never successful as it was never populated in the history DB database. However, the Google suggestion artifact for how long to digest food appears at 6:23 a.m. along with a picture. This indicates that the cell phone in question had internet connectivity at the time of 6:24 a.m. and contradicts Mr. Whiffen's speculative suggestion that the load did not complete. The Knowledge C information, anomaly 6. The Knowledge C information for the how long to die in the cold search appears to be out of order. Knowledge C artifacts typically run a few seconds after the event in question because it's the event that triggers it. Of course, it's run after. You can't have it go, you know what, I'm going to run some lines of code for an event that hasn't happened yet. That doesn't happen. It's the event that triggers the Knowledge C artifacts being recorded. The plist time for how long to die in kicked, recorded at 6:23 a.m., has a corresponding Knowledge C time entry of 6:23:57 a.m., 6 seconds later. Typically, the Knowledge C artifact appears seconds after the plist entry. So 6 seconds appears to be, by my understanding, a deliberate time delay written into the code. So don't record this straight away. Let's wait 6 seconds and then record it so we're not creating errors because things were done too quickly after each other. That's what that reads to me. The corresponding, hang on, did I skip something here? However, the 6:24 plist entry for how long to die in the cold is followed by a Knowledge C time of 6:24 and 24 seconds, 6 seconds later. So that's consistent that it's the code that was told, wait 6 seconds before we do this roo-roo. The corresponding Knowledge C entry for how long to die in the cold does not show up until hours later, not written by the code. Dun dun dun! At 10:33 a.m. This is unusual and deviates from what is typically observed. Anomaly 7. Trooper Guarino's April 24 report shows that he took custody of the phone. However, the grey key log indicates that the device was not accessed for imaging until 2 hours later, or converted locally as 2:25 p.m. The report also indicates he was given the password to the phone. Nowhere within the reports does it explain the time delay between receiving the device and imaging the device. It is my opinion, based on a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, that the 2:27 a.m. search artifact for how long to die in a code was deleted by either deliberate user interaction or manual post-imaging manipulation of the data by some unknown individual. I'm going to hazard a guess we're at the Trooper Guarino, some unknown individual, because Jen and Matt McCabe can't do this SQL manipulation. I didn't think either of them can do that, like themselves, to the phone physically. I think they had to take it in there, get the image, and then get him to give them access to it. That's where I think we're heading at the moment. The methodology I used to evaluate the search artifact, as described in this affidavit, is generally accepted in the digital forensic scientific community and is consistent with the applicable National Institute of Standards and Technology guidelines shown in the Digital Investigation Techniques, a NIST specific foundation review and is attached as Exhibit B. You want the scientific basis? Bam! Take that, Brennan. Take that pooh, in the eyeball.